It's really, we knew the demand. I've flown medevacs even before I started Phoenix Heli-flight. I was flying them with associated helicopters. We always knew that dedicated would be better. The non-dedicated fleet of helicopters here did a good job at ad hoc, but could not fly at night and weren't dedicated. So if we had a big forest fire season, all the helicopters were out and there was a need for a medevac, there was just nothing available. And that really started showing itself as a lack of support for the region when the oil sands started expanding and the plants got further and further away from town. There was more field exploration, more industrial activity, more winter drilling with very tough access. Wintertime, we've only got about 7.5 hours of daylight in December. So the need for dedicated and night-capable medevac services was really obvious, and we knew we just had to get into it. Local HERO. Well, HERO is an acronym for Helicopter Emergency Response Organization, and local's us. We are local. It really speaks to who we are. We're a local helicopter emergency service. When we started it, we needed to distance the organization from Phoenix Heli-flight operations, which is a Transport Canada approved helicopter charter service. So if we're going to accept public funds, donated funds, corporate donations, we really had to draw a line between the commercial activities of Phoenix Heli-flight and the charitable activities of local HERO. Well, regulations in Canada for night flying require 2 engines, 2 pilots, and a stabilized platform, which means for a helicopter an autopilot, a 3-axis autopilot. The difference between a $3 million A-Star and an $8 million medevac aircraft, who's going to pay for that aircraft to do anything other than medevac? So that's why we had to separate it, get the proper aircraft that met all the regulations with Transport Canada for safe and efficient flying 24 hours a day. It was just a really poignant event where it showed that dedicated and night-capable medevac services were required. A gentleman recreating on the Clearwater River after dark was involved in a collision. 2 off-highway vehicles collided on the ice, and unfortunately for one of the parties, they were injured. Not usually a fatal injury, if you're near a hospital, but there was internal bleeding from fractured bones. The call came in to go, and I took the call. And we did not have HERO at the time, and it was so close to dark that legally I had to turn the call down. I had to tell the fire department, no, we can't go. So they launched a ground team on snowmobiles along the frozen river with toboggans to get to the gentleman. Unfortunately, the additional time it takes to get the sleds ready and everything, get out there and drive, and it was in an area of poor cellular reception, and the gentleman bled to death internally before they could get there. I happened to know his employer, got the call the next day going, hey, why didn't you go? And I go, well, I would have wanted to go, but it was against reg. So it really showed that if we'd had a night-capable aircraft, we would have given that individual a chance at life. Just the varying terrain and local knowledge is really key here. If somebody was trying to come from the city, but it's too far anyways, they'd need refueling. And even if they did refuel and get a helicopter here, which may have happened in the past before we started the service, they wouldn't know the area at all. So we have local knowledge with our pilots. Some of our pilots in the medevac program have come up through our charter program. So they've worked in the area daytime, fighting fires and doing survey work and oil and gas work. So it's really crucial that way. So we'd been landing at Northern Lights. I've been landing there since the 80s. Problem was it wasn't an official helipad, it was a H painted in the parking lot. We did a good job of making it as safe as possible for decades. I recall landing there one day, and as I was probably 30 feet above the ground, just on the very last phase of approach to land, a truck drove underneath the helicopter. Security had been busy in the building with something else, couldn't make it down in time. Helicopters don't wait for those things to resolve themselves. We can't orbit. So we came in and landed, and I had a talk with the gentleman afterwards. I said, did you not see the helicopter coming into land? He said, oh yeah, I saw it, but I got a right to park here too. We knew right then and there that maybe something dedicated was needed. So the push was on. I made as much noise as I could. It really didn't come about until the fatality inquiry over an industrial incident in the area, when they said that one of the findings, and the key finding from the judicial inquiry into that, was that a helipad should be built at Northern Lights quickly. Well, that was then in the public domain and had to be acted on, so Alberta Health started right away. We now have a beautiful helipad there that we really enjoy using.